Hello and welcome to StratNews Global. I'm Surya Gangadharan. 105 years ago, in the last century, there was a massacre, a genocide of Armenian Christians in Turkey. It was carried out by the Turkish Ottoman Empire. And until now, there's been little recognition or acknowledgement by the Turkish government, the Turkish authorities, that such a genocide happened. So why is it so important? I have with me Armenia's ambassador to India, Mr. Armen Martirosyan. And we'll talk to him about this genocide, why it is important, and what are the lessons to be learned from this. Ambassador, thank you and welcome. The massacre happened so long ago. Why is it so important for Armenia, for the world, to get Turkey to acknowledge that such a genocide happened?
We keep asking ourselves and international community, why did it happen to us? Why did the great powers of the time turn a blind eye when atrocities were being carried out in the broad daylight? Did the world learn from the tragedy of Armenians? So these are, the most important questions that each time we ask ourselves and the international community. And during the Armenian Genocide, the military and political establishment of the states dictating the global power then allowed murder to take place. Since then, ethnic cleansing became part of the political culture, a sort of unacceptable way for solving inter-ethnic problems. And presumably, one may contend that the world has changed today. In 1948, the international community adopted the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. I quote, "to prevent from happening again that what happened to Armenians during World War I and to Jews during World War II," end of quote. I quoted Raphael Lemkin, a scholar who coined the term genocide. Never again was the message of the authors of the Genocide Convention. Yet, Holocaust and tragic events of the World War II did not conclude, regrettably, the age of genocide. The world has witnessed Rwanda, Cambodia, Darfur, and God knows what would happen in then Eastern Pakistan had not India come to rescue people, over there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So these are the, questions. Why did it happen? Did we learn lessons?
So the question I want to ask you next is, why did the genocide happen? Was it because the Turks wanted a pure Turkish entity in eastern Turkey?
A very important question. I will try to be brief as possible. The international expert community came up with various interpretations of the root causes for the tragedy of Armenians in the Ottoman Empire. Often cited geopolitical explanation referred to the Armenian-Russian alliance in the World War I.
Yeah.
Although if we look at Turkish behavior toward Armenians both before and after World War I, this interpretation doesn't hold. We found that starting from pre-war years under Sultan Abdul Hamid the Bloody, through the wartime dominance of the Committee of Union and Progress and the immediate post-war rise of the Turkish nationalists led by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, Turkey resolved to be rid of all Armenians, and not only Armenians, but also other Christian communities through steady oppression, mass murder, attrition, expulsion, forced conversion, and assimilation. So by 1924, Turkey had cleansed Asia Minor of its 1.5 million Armenians. The second so-called economic explanation alludes to the disproportional wealth and economic pool of the Armenian minority in the empire. And the third interpretation deals with the political transformation attempted by the young Turks with the goal of promoting a multi-party democracy in Turkey. So I can elaborate more if you would allow. Otherwise, this is very brief.
Mm-hmm. But do you believe that an ethnic thing was behind?
So, I think that the annihilation of the Armenian as well as other Christian communities, particularly Greeks and Assyrians, was not the product of single cause.
Mm-hmm.
At play were fears of foreign machinations and interference, economic envy, and a desire to maintain and strengthen political and social dominance. A combination of all these motivations was manifest in each period and location.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe Turkey's refusal to acknowledge this genocide? What do they gain from this?
Oh, well, what did they gain? I mean, internationally, I would say that they have gained nothing so far. Just let me remind you that on December 12, 2019, a few months ago, the US Congress and the US Senate unanimously recognized the genocide carried out by Ottoman Empire in 1915. So nowadays we have 34 countries around the world, all major European powers, many countries in the Americas, South America, North America, Middle East, that officially have recognized, this crime against community. So internationally, I don't think that Turkey has gained anything. Maybe some sort of consolidation of nationalist rhetoric within the country helped Erdogan to promote and to strengthen its rule. Otherwise, I have my doubts regarding, advantages and benefits internationally.
What does President Erdogan of Turkey, what does he, has he conveyed anything to your leadership? Has he conveyed anything to the international community about this incident, what he thinks about it privately?
I mean, I would like to answer to your question. Let me remind you to go back 12 years. In 2008, to open better perspectives for the future generations, both of Armenia and Turkey, Armenian government in 2008 made an offer to Turkey to start the process of normalization of our bilateral relations.
Mm-hmm.
That initiative very soon was recognized internationally, and new terminology in foreign relations was coined, so-called sacre diplomacy. Mm-hmm. Because presidents of both countries visited Turkey and Armenia to take part in the soccer competition.
Yeah.
And the founding and the basic principle of departure for the thorny negotiations was that the process of reconciliation to be designed and implemented without any preconditions. Mm-hmm. However, immediately after signing of these protocols, Turkish government, then chaired by Erdogan, immediately after signing the protocol, violated the above-mentioned fundamental rule of arrangements and came up with the new preconditions for the normalization of relations, mm-hmm. and thus torpedoed the whole process, of normalization of our bilateral relations. And let me remind you that our problems with Turkey is not only about, genocide. Turkey still continues since 1991, when Armenia regained its independence. Turkey has been refusing to establish diplomatic relations with Armenia. We have no diplomatic relations today with Turkey, and Turkey unilaterally has been blockading Armenia. All our attempts, and supported by the international community, by the European Union, global powers like the United States, Russia, have been futile. And the biggest problem for us, let me tell you, was President Erdogan himself, with his very, revisionist policies and position.
So what does he want? He wants
Armenians. He wants Armenians to assign genocide to oblivion. To put in short. But we told on. Let me reiterate our position that Armenia is ready to establish diplomatic relations with Turkey without any preconditions. To build a better future, we should draw lessons from our common past, but we cannot revise the history. Yeah. This issue of recognition of Armenian genocide for us is non-negotiable.
Okay.
And reconciliation requires compassion, and its chances are diminished by continuous denial, which traumatizes both sides, hampering any possibility for delinking the present and the future from the past.
Are the Turks possibly worried that Armenia will demand compensation running to millions of dollars?
Even without official recognition by Turkey of the crime, Armenians from Armenian diaspora, they appealed, having all these documents regarding the estates in the historical homeland.
Yeah.
They appealed to courts, and they were quite successful trials.
I see.
So, legally speaking, every Armenian who can substantiate its claim regarding its property in Turkey, they can do it, and they do it today.
Okay. And how do the Turkish courts react?
Turkish authorities take the position that there is nothing that needs to be repaid. This is their official position. And moreover, they claim that no judicial mechanism exists in which claims of such magnitude from events 100 years ago could be litigated.
I see.
But genocide survivors and their descendants have nonetheless increasingly focused on this issue of compensation in recent years, and succeeded in some cases. So as private persons representing different countries, different states, it looks like many Armenians, did and will try, to present their claims in Turkey regarding their properties.
This reminds me of the Pakistani genocide in East Pakistan, later Bangladesh, and the refusal by the Pakistanis even today to acknowledge that such a genocide had been perpetrated. And of course, along with that, the refusal to pay compensation of any kind, and so on. Do you believe such attitudes only encourage massacres of this kind? We saw it in Bosnia, we saw it in other places also.
Of course, it is obvious. I am assigned also as an ambassador of Armenia to Bangladesh, as a first ambassador.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the course during these years, I read a lot of books about the history of Bangladesh, Pakistan, all these intricacies, regional intricacies. But the most shocking for me was a book authored by then American diplomat Archer Blood.
Yes, yes.
And his book, The Blood Telegram.
Yeah.
It was shocking that even in 1971, when many international organizations have been already functional, the means of modern communication widely available, and so on and so forth, and these atrocities, this tragedy, took place in the broad daylight.
Yeah.
But as I said in the beginning, people of then East Pakistan were lucky to have such neighbor as in India,
True.
which timely came in to rescue them, I believe, from total annihilation. So and as we observe the same patterns when Turkey refuses to acknowledge the tragedy, also explored by Pakistan. And by the way, in this regard, Pakistan is a staunch supporter of Turkey.
Yeah.
in this business, they both, refuse to face and acknowledge their own history, not only crime, but their own history.
Yeah. So, last question. I want to ask you about India and Armenia. Has this issue ever been discussed between India and Armenia officially? What is the Indian viewpoint on this?
Officially, since my arrival in 2015, on this very day, with very small Armenian community in Delhi,
yeah,
and also some scholars,
yeah,
the leading universities of Delhi hosted events, dedicated to the commemoration of Armenian genocide, and simultaneously we organized discussions on this issue. Mm-hmm. So my personal point of view that there is a lack of knowledge, lack of information on this specific issue in India among the Indians.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And there is a very, very special reason for this, because Armenia is a diasporic nation. We have approximately 6 million Armenians living abroad and 3 million Armenians living in country per se. So these 6 million Armenians living abroad, as a matter of fact, they are a result of the genocide. We escaped the genocide, settled in different countries, and have been promoting this genocide in their very countries. And having no Armenian diaspora in India, there is this gap of knowledge and information. So slowly, we have the embassy have started raising awareness in the country, organizing this kind of events, discussions with the universities. Some articles have been also published. The biggest event, of course, in this regard was the visit of the former Vice President, Honorable Vice President Hamid Ansari, to Yerevan in 2017 on April 24th, when he visited the genocide memorial, and this event was broadly publicized, not only in India, in Armenia, but also in different countries, Turkey including, and obviously they were not very happy. So slowly, we, building, these grounds, these foundations, and I'm planning. We worked also on a very special book dedicated to the Armenian genocide to be published also in Hindi. But all these, events and the developments with this pandemic, have introduced some corrections, and I do hope that once situation comes back to normal, we will intensify our efforts in to introduce and promote the issue of Armenian genocide in India. And without any, false modesty, I do hope that one day India, as the biggest democracy in the world, also would recognize this crime.
On that note, Ambassador Martirosyan, thank you very much for your perspective You've been very informative and very educative too. Thank you very much, sir.
I thank you very much, for this interview, and wish you to stay safe, to you, to your team, and to your family. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.